Hi guys, in this video we're going to look into the graph editor. So this is an animation tool that we can use to manipulate the the paths and the flow of our animation. So we can kind of edit the way keyframes kind of transition between each other. So the way this kind of ball bounces, I can edit this without kind of manually moving it. Okay, so I'm going to go up to Windows, Animation Editors, and I'm going to look at the graph editor here. So this is going to load up this window. Now if you've got a dual screen setup, I would move this to your other window and have it open full screen on there. Okay, so let's just have a little look at this. What we have is the thing I've got selected on top. So if I click on something else, you can see it changes ball bottom control. Let's zoom in a little bit further. Ball top control. I can have a look at that there. We've also got everything else I've got selected as well. So I actually have my character set turned on down the bottom here, so you can see the characters are here. This would show me all of my animation curves. So I'm just going to grab this control here, and you can see it's broken down into our transforms. So we've got translate X, Y, and Z, and then we have our rotate X, Y, and Z, our scale X, Y, and Z. So let's have a look at Y first of all. So Y is our up and down here. So we can see over here the keyframes. So if I go to frame 0, you can see my graph editor is on frame 0. Let's skip forward to frame 4. You can see this is frame 4 here. If I skip through, I'm hopping on all of these keyframes. So this is my keyframe broken down. I also have this for translate Z. So you can see translate Z is here and how this is moving. So along the top, I've got my timeline. So my x-axis in this window is time. So this is over time. The up and down, the y-axis here, is the value of this. So at this moment in time, the y value is 9.957. So if I kind of double that to 20 and press enter, you'll see it's now increased on my graph editor here, up there, and it's then done the same thing here. Okay, so let's have a look at that. It's increased. So let's select that. Let's set that back to what it was before. It was roughly 10 there. So I hit 10. It moves down. So what I can do is I can use my graph editor to smooth out my animation. So let's have a little look at this. So let's go to translate Y again. So over time, I can see this here. So I can see the peak. So my bouncy ball, the peak should get slower or smaller over time. It shouldn't go as high. So I can select my keyframes, hold Shift and middle mouse button, and this is going to drag it. So holding Shift constrains it. So if I move this up now, my second bounce is going to be higher than my first bounce. So you can see there on the left hand side of my screen, that second bounce is a lot higher. So again, holding Shift, middle mouse button, and I'm constraining it, and then I can tweak this to get it so it slowly reduces in its Y value over time. It gets more and more shallow. I've also got this really nice kind of hang in the air here, so it goes up but a very small amount. So this is my slow in and slow out animation principle. If I maybe take that down, it's now going to kind of go up, but it's going to go up but a small amount over sort of, is that 3 frames there? 1, 2, 3. It's going to go a smaller amount. So it's going to look like it kind of hangs in the air a little bit. It's going to look like it loses momentum. So you can see that happening over on the left-hand side. Now, you want these to be nice and fluid so it kind of flows into one another. We can do things like changing the tangents. So the tangents are these handles. So I can alter the way that it transitions just by left-clicking and sort of dragging. And you can see this now has a really odd sort of path in between them. So if I now go back and I press play, you can see there was a weird kind of glip around this point here where it didn't quite transition smoothly. So I can use my graph editor to go in here, smooth these kind of handles out. Let's grab that one there, using my middle mouse button to tweak it. And now when I play that same bit of animation there, it looks a lot smoother. It doesn't have that weird jolt anymore. So I can use this to fine tune my animation. Now I can also do this, use this to maybe, let's have a look at my rotation. Which one is it? I want to have a look at X, Y, Z. Okay, right, let's look at the Z. So Z is our forward motion. So if I, again, take this and increase it, it's going to move forwards. It's then going to come back on itself over time. So it's gone forwards, back, and then continues forwards. So I could maybe even go in here and create some fine tuning. I could kind of delete a lot of these keyframes. So now it's going a greater distance over time. I could now increase this or decrease this. So it's now, what's happening is it's going up fast and then it's slowing down over time. So if I now play that through, it won't move as far forwards. It's a lot shallower there. Let's take that again and let's make it even shallower. So let's take it down. Let's tweak this so it eases into that a bit more, so it loses momentum over time. So you can see it doesn't move as far now. So let's increase that. So we've got our start point, which is over here, our end point, which is over here. I can tweak this and change this just by moving these around, selecting those tangents, easing things together. So sometimes when your animation's jerky, I would go into my graph editor and have kind of a look at the paths. So this animation here looks quite nice now. It's got a really nice sort of transition to it as it's sort of coming in from the side. So I'm using my graph editor to tweak this. Super. So this has been a look into that graph editor. We can look at the individual transforms and tweak those. It will help us create really nice arcs in here. So you can see the up and down arc here. We can see the forward motion. We can have a look at some of the other parts as well. There's nothing on the translation because I've actually added the rotation because I've added that on another one there. So use the graph editor to help to smooth out your animation and edit the kind of keyframes on a more individual basis. Okay, thanks for your time, guys.